The sun hadn't even risen when Alex turned the key in the ignition of his silver Toyota Camry. It was 4:32 a.m. The streets of Atlanta were still cloaked in darkness, with only the occasional flicker of a traffic light dancing on the wet pavement. His coffee sat untouched in the cup holder, already gone cold. His eyes were tired, but his mind was focused. This wasn't just another shift. This was part of a plan. Alex was 32, broke, and drowning in $27,000 of student loans he hadn't touched in years. Just 12 months ago, he was working part-time at a hardware store, barely making $12 an hour. The bill stacked higher than his hours. He knew something had to change, but he had no clue where to begin. He wasn't a tech bro, didn't have a degree in finance, and wasn't sitting on any lucky inheritance. What he did have was desperation, and sometimes that's enough to light a fire under someone. One day, during his usual YouTube scroll, Alex stumbled on a video. A guy claimed he made six figures just by driving Uber. At first, he laughed, but then he got curious. He watched another video, then another, and another. That night, Alex signed up. What followed was not luck, not even close. It was early mornings, late nights, trial, error, strategy, and discipline. And by the end of the year, Alex had earned just over $100,000 without owning a business, without a college degree, and without any startup capital. So how'd he do it? And more importantly, could you do it too? This isn't just a story about ride sharing. It's about reinvention, about seeing opportunity where most people see failure. If you've ever felt stuck, overlooked, or like you're one decision away from everything changing, this story is for you. Make sure you stick around till the end, because the roadmap Alex created isn't just inspirational, it's actionable. And it might just be the strategy that changes your financial future. Now, let's rewind and take it from the top, before the apps, before the money, before the plan. Back to when Alex was just another guy watching his life fall apart. 2 years before his breakthrough, Alex Parker's life looked nothing like the six-figure hustle it would become. Back then, he was living in a cramped one-bedroom apartment on the southeast edge of Atlanta. His mattress lay directly on the floor, no bed frame. The fridge? Mostly empty, except for a few frozen dinners, some leftover takeout, and half a bottle of ketchup. Rent was overdue. Again, he had dropped out of college in his final year. The financial pressure had become too much between textbooks, loans, and working double shifts at a hardware store. He couldn't keep up. The dream of graduating and landing a decent-paying job had faded into survival mode. Each day, Alex would clock into the store by 6:30 a.m., help customers load plywood into the backs of trucks, stock shelves until his back ached, then head home to crash on his mattress, exhausted, anxious, and defeated. One evening, after receiving yet another collection call about his student loans, he buried his head in his hands. He had just $86 in his checking account, and payday was still 4 days away. He couldn't afford to keep living like this. That night, as he scrolled through YouTube in frustration, he came across a video. "I made $100,000 driving Uber in 1 year. Here's how." He almost clicked away. Sounded like a scam. But something in the guy's tone caught his attention. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't hyped up. Just honest. He watched the whole thing. Then another. Then a third. What if this could work? Alex knew he wasn't going to get rich overnight. But what he needed wasn't riches. He needed control. A plan. A way to make money on his terms. The next morning, he signed up to become a driver. It took a few days to get approved. During that time, he made a promise to himself. If he was going to do this, he was going to do it differently. Not aimlessly cruising around hoping for rides. He was going to treat Uber like a business. He began taking notes. On peak hours, surge pricing, airport traffic, downtown hotspots. He read forums, joined Facebook groups, listened to podcasts while restocking tools at the store. He wanted to know how the best drivers were winning, and how he could too. Finally, his account was activated. Alex stepped into his Camry, set his status to online, and began driving. He had no idea what was coming, but he had already made the most important decision of all, to bet on himself. From the moment Alex turned on the app and picked up his first passenger, a tired nurse heading home from an overnight shift, he realized this wasn't going to be easy money, but he also saw the potential. At first, he made typical rookie mistakes. He chased surge pricing only to find traffic jams. He'd wait too long between rides, hoping for a big fare that never came. He accepted every ping, no matter how far it was or how little it paid. His earnings were inconsistent, and some days he made barely enough to cover gas. But Alex was determined to get better, and fast. He started tracking every single ride, pickup locations, drop-offs, miles driven, time of day, rider tips, gas used. He built a spreadsheet that became his personal Uber playbook. After 2 weeks, he saw patterns, clear ones. He discovered that airport runs between 5 to 8 a.m. paid better and were more consistent. Friday nights in downtown Atlanta were gold, but only if you knew how to avoid the heavy drunk zones that led to canceled rides or wasted time. Sunday mornings after church? Surprisingly profitable. So he mapped out a plan, literally. Using Google Maps in his notes, Alex created heat zones for different times of day. He had a Monday morning route, a Friday night strategy, and a weekend loop that maximized both short rides with tips and longer airport runs. He avoided school zones, construction bottlenecks, and areas with high cancellation rates. More importantly, he set strict hours. 6 days a week, Alex drove 10 to 12 hours a day, but he broke them into smart chunks. Morning rush, midday downtime, evening surge. He always gave himself rest windows and used that time to eat, refuel, and recharge mentally. And then he added a twist. He began upselling his experience. No, not charging more, but offering more. He kept his car spotless, offered bottled water, mints, even phone chargers, played calm jazz, or asked if they preferred silence or conversation. Soon, his rider rating shot up. Tips increased. Riders started remembering him, even requesting him again. His customer service was so good that one rider, a local business consultant, told him, "You treat this like it's your own company." And that's exactly how he saw it. Alex also began using Uber's promotions to his advantage. He gamified the bonuses, hitting every target for extra earnings. If Uber said complete 80 rides this week for an extra $200, he'd hit 90. Then came the real growth move. He started driving for multiple platforms, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, switching between them based on demand. He got a second phone and kept track of everything in real time. If Lyft was dead, he'd switch to Uber. If both were slow, he'd deliver food during lunch rush hours. Within 6 months, Alex had built a bulletproof system. He was averaging $1,700 a week, sometimes more. By the end of that first year, he had grossed over $102,000. But this story isn't just about smart routes and working long hours. Because Alex didn't just make money, he knew what to do with it. Alex wasn't just clocking in hours and stacking cash. He was working with a plan. Every dollar he earned had a job. At the end of each week, he sat down with his notebook, the same one he used since day one, and reviewed his earnings, expenses, and goals. Before the year even ended, he made 3 powerful financial decisions that completely changed his life trajectory. The first, he paid off every cent of his $8,000 in student loan debt. Gone. Just like that. No lingering interest. No dragging it out over 5 years. He cut it clean. Next came his car. Instead of upgrading to a shiny new SUV like some of his fellow drivers, Alex stuck with his reliable Toyota Camry. But he paid it off in full. No more car note. That freed up nearly $400 a month, which he immediately rerouted into savings and investments. But the most impactful move? Alex opened a Roth IRA and maxed it out. He didn't grow up learning about investing. But once he got serious about earning, he became obsessed with keeping and multiplying his money. Every spare moment he had between rides, he was listening to finance podcasts or reading articles on compound interest, index funds, and financial independence. He started small, just $500 a month into low-cost index funds. But as his confidence grew, so did his contributions. By the end of the year, he had saved $22,000, not including his investment accounts. More importantly, he now had systems in place, a consistent budget, a debt-free lifestyle, and a clear investment plan. He also started planning for the future beyond driving. Alex took an online course on digital marketing during his rest breaks. He wasn't just chasing money. He was building a foundation. Uber was the ladder. But financial freedom? That was the destination. And it was working. But the moment that made him realize how far he'd come happened late one evening. He picked up a young man from the airport, tired, frustrated, and clearly stressed. The passenger complained about his job, his debt, how he felt stuck. Alex listened. Then, as he pulled into the man's apartment complex, he said something simple. "You're one decision away from turning everything around." I was too. This job saved my life. That night, he went home, looked at his notebook filled with scribbles, plans, and tracking sheets, and smiled. But just when everything seemed perfect, an unexpected challenge was about to threaten everything he built. It was mid-July, the peak of summer, and the rides just kept coming. Tourists, airport runs, late-night downtown pickups. Alex was making more than ever. Some days, he cleared $400. But then, something happened. It started with a strange noise in his car. A soft clicking sound when he turned the wheel. He ignored it first, thought it was nothing. But over the next few days, it got worse. The steering stiffened. The brakes began to grind. And one hot afternoon, right after dropping off a passenger, his car completely shut down at a red light. Just like that, his engine was gone. He had the car towed to a mechanic, hoping it was a small issue. But when the estimate came in, it hit like a punch to the gut. $6, $300. His heart sank. This was the car that built his business, his only source of income. And now, useless. He considered taking out a personal loan. He even thought about buying a used car and starting over. But that wasn't the only hit. As if the car troubles weren't enough, his landlord informed him that his rent was going up by $400 starting the next month. Inflation had finally caught up with him, and it wasn't backing down. Within 1 week, the financial safety net Alex had spent a year building suddenly felt like it had holes. He sat in his apartment, staring at his budget sheet. His savings were there. His emergency fund was solid. But the fear was creeping in. Was this the beginning of a downward spiral? Was all that work about to be undone? He could feel that old panic from his broke days trying to rise back up. But this time, Alex wasn't the same man. And how he responded to this crisis would determine whether his story ended in frustration or transformation. Alex could have panicked. He could have spiraled into credit card debt, taken out a high-interest loan, or even quit altogether. But he didn't. Instead, he did something most people never think to do in a crisis. He paused. Not out of fear, but out of discipline. That night, sitting in his small studio apartment, he opened the budgeting spreadsheet he'd built from scratch a year ago. Every dollar was tracked. Every expense had a name. He looked at his emergency fund, $500, enough to cover the $6,300 car repair and keep him afloat. Still, draining the fund hurt. But it was also a reminder, this is why you save. The next morning, he approved the repair and called the mechanic. Then, he got to work, not on driving, but on creating something new. During his downtime, while waiting for the car to be fixed, Alex turned to content creation. He started a TikTok account and posted a video titled, "How I Made $8,000 Last Month Driving Uber." To his surprise, it blew up. Thousands of views turned into tens of thousands overnight. Comments flooded in, people asking questions, requesting tips, wanting guidance. He realized something powerful. His journey was valuable, not just to him, but to others. He began documenting everything: earnings, ride strategies, location hacks, surge timing, customer service tricks, gas-saving tips. His second video hit 50K views. His third, nearly 100K. And with that came his first brand deal, $500 for a 30-second shout-out. More offers followed. By the time his car was ready, Alex had not only made back what he spent, he'd built a second stream of income. One that had potential to grow beyond even Uber itself. With his car fixed and energy renewed, he went back to driving, but this time with a camera on the dash. Each ride wasn't just money, it was content. Each moment behind the wheel was a lesson someone else could learn from. And within 90 days, his side hustle as a creator was bringing in nearly $2,000 a month, on top of his Uber income. But Alex's journey wasn't over yet. The real test would come when he decided to take his story even further. By now, Alex wasn't just an Uber driver. He was a brand. Every week, His TikTok and YouTube videos gained more traction. He had followers asking for ride-along vlogs, budget breakdowns, even Q&A sessions about taxes and self-employment. What began as survival had evolved into influence. But Alex wasn't satisfied with just being an online personality. He saw a bigger opportunity, one that could free him from the uncertainty of gig work forever. It started with a question he kept getting. Can you teach me how to do what you do? So he did. Alex created his first digital product, a simple, beginner-friendly ebook titled Mastering Uber, How to Make $2,000 a Week. He poured everything he knew into it: his driving strategy, city maps with peak zones, budget tracking templates, and scripts he used for 5-star service. He priced it at $19.99. On launch day, he sold 40 copies, nearly $800 in a single day. Then he bundled the ebook with a downloadable monthly budget sheet and sold it as a Ride and Rise starter kit. Sales tripled. Within 2 months, Alex had a passive income stream, generating an extra $2,500 to $3,000 per month, more than some full-time jobs. But he didn't stop there. He began offering one-on-one coaching via Zoom. At first, it was $50 for 45 minutes. Then, as his testimonials grew and demand skyrocketed, he raised his rates. Clients included not just Uber drivers, but DoorDashers, Instacart shoppers, even college students trying to side hustle smart. Alex realized he was no longer just teaching how to drive. He was teaching how to build a business mindset, one ride at a time. By the end of the year, his earnings looked like this. Uber driving, $62,000. Brand deals and sponsorships, $15,000. Digital product sales, $28,000. Coaching and consulting, $11,000. Total, $116,000. All while doing something most people look down on: driving. Alex had proven something powerful. Your job doesn't define your wealth. Your mindset does. He wasn't born into money. He didn't have investors. He didn't wait for a perfect business idea. He started where he was, with a used Toyota Corolla, a phone, and the internet. And now, he wasn't just making money. He was building legacy. Alex sat in his favorite diner one morning, black coffee, a notebook, and the same worn-out hoodie he'd worn the first night he drove for Uber. But this time, he wasn't calculating how to stretch $40 till payday. He was sketching out a business plan, not a dream, a plan, with numbers, deadlines, goals. Because he knew something most people missed. The road to wealth doesn't start with a lottery ticket, a rich uncle, or $1 million idea. It starts with a choice. Alex chose to take control of what he had, and that choice changed everything. So what can you learn from Alex? 1. Start with what you have. You may not have a brand new car, but you have time, or a phone, or a skill. Use it. Don't wait for perfect. Start with possible. 2. Track everything. Alex didn't just hustle. He tracked his income, expenses, miles, and time. When you treat your side hustle like a business, it eventually becomes one. 3. Level up continuously. Every week, Alex improved. Whether it was customer service, routes, TikTok editing, or marketing his ebook, he never stopped learning. 4. Build something you own. Rides end. Hours get capped. But digital products, email lists, online content, those keep paying you while you sleep. Alex diversified, and that changes income forever. 5. Make your story work for you. Alex used his story, the grind, the struggle, the wins, to connect with people. In a world of fake flexes, authenticity wins. And here's the truth. There are millions of Alexes out there, underpaid, overlooked, and underestimated. But not all of them choose to rise. He did. And now, the same guy who once cleaned French fries out of the backseat for tips is helping others clean up their finances and rewrite their futures. So the question is, what's stopping you? If you made it this far, you're already different. You're not just watching content. You're investing in your mind. And that, my friend, is how wealth really begins. If this story inspired you, comment, I'm ready below, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that teach real money lessons. Your future self is counting on you.